Everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to use one of a biologist's favorite tools, the compound microscope. These are so useful for you being able to observe all kinds of phenomena that we cannot see with our eyes by themselves. So in this tutorial I'm going to walk you through how to set up your scope, how to operate it, and what to do if you wind up getting stuck, so that in the future you can really focus on what you're looking at instead of being too caught up in how to operate your instrument. Alright, so here I've got some supplies to prepare a wet mount slide. Here's a slide. I've got a little piece of a pea shoot, and I'm just going to cut a small cross section off of one of these pea plant leaves. I didn't do the most amazing job with this cross section, but this is a demonstration. So I'm going to then put that onto the slide that I'm preparing. So I've got my sample there on the slide. Then I'm going to take a couple drops of water. That's what's in the tube up on the upper right. And I'm just going to apply a couple drops of that water to the slide. Then I'm going to get out a cover slip here. Just one. Alright, and you'll notice I'm trying to handle this just by the edges. That's to avoid getting any oils from my fingers in the middle of the slide. And then I'm going to set one edge down on the slide, and then I just dropped it right on top. Usually that gives you a really nice seal on your slide. So now I'm at my microscope, and I'm just kind of checking a few things out, figuring out where all the controls are. And when we first get started, you want to use the coarse adjustment knob to lower the microscope stage all the way to the lowest position. Then I'm going to pick up my slide, and I'm going to put this slide into the slide holder. Notice the slide holder doesn't attach on top of the slide, it just helps to secure it in place. Once I've done that, then I can use the stage manipulators to move the stage forwards and back and left and right. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to center my slide over the condenser light, which is right underneath it. Then I'm going to turn my microscope on, and you can see you can adjust the brightness of the light that's passing through the slide. And I'm going to start taking a look at my slide. The other thing I'm showing you here is how you can adjust the eyepieces so they're spaced correctly for your eyes. Here's just a behind the scenes look so you can see how I'm making this recording. I basically have a webcam that is looking into one of the eyepieces. It's a clever trick. You can do this with smartphones too. So here's a view of what things look like through the microscope as I first get started. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm using these stage manipulators to move the stage forwards and back and left and right so that I get whatever it is I'm looking at focused under the condenser. And now I am using the coarse adjustment knob to slowly bring this stage up towards my lowest magnification objective, the 4x objective. And you can see through the scope view how that is now bringing my sample into focus. I did overshoot a little bit here, so then I'm just going to bring that back down with a coarse focus. Once I've got things in focus, I can then make some further adjustments to the stage adjustment knobs, and I can also adjust how the light is traveling through my sample by adjusting the diaphragm on the condenser. Now let's say I want to increase my magnification. What you'll notice I can do is I can switch my objective without having to raise or lower the stage at all. And now things are not entirely in focus here at the higher magnification, but they're not totally out of focus either. In this case, I'm not going to use the coarse adjustment knob. I'm just going to use the fine adjustment knob once I'm using one of the higher magnifications. And it may take a little while to get your sample into focus at higher magnification, but be patient with it. And here we are. Once again, you can use the iris diaphragm to adjust how light is passing through your sample until you get a good view with it. Now notice here how I don't have to make any adjustments to this stage. I can switch to a higher magnification And although it's very close, the tip of this lens is not in contact with the slide. You always want to make sure that you do not come in contact with the slide. Once again, at 100x magnification, you then just want to use the fine adjustment knob to make adjustments to the focus. The other thing you'll notice here is that my sample has some depth to it, so I can't get everything in focus at the same time. I have a very small focal plane. Now let's say you're working and you just suddenly throw everything out of whack. Oh, what do? Well, first things first, backtrack to your lowest magnification, your 4x, okay? Then you can use your coarse adjustment knob and adjust the stage all the way back down. So you're going to start again with the lowest magnification, bring your slide back into focus slowly with a coarse adjustment knob. All right, look at that. Now that we've done that, we can then once again progress back to our next highest level of magnification. Again, we don't have to move the stage before we do this. We can just switch it up and switch over to working with the fine adjustment knob. Again, you might have to play around with it a little bit to find your focus. It might not always be perfect when you switch from one objective to the next. Okay, that looks good. Then I can go on to my highest objective again. And again, I'm back where I started. Remember that each time you change the magnification, you may also want to adjust the diaphragm again to get the right amount of light passing through your sample. Okay. Hey, wait, don't go quite yet, Dr. Clark. This is not how you should leave your microscope when you're about to leave. First thing you need to do is, again, lower your stage all the way down to the bottom, right? Then you also want to set this back to the lowest objective, the 4x objective. Okay, that looks good. Then you can take your slide out and don't forget to put it into the glass waste. I hope you enjoyed that short microscope tutorial. What we're going to do now is we're going to use microscopes to measure a series of small cells so we can compare the size of different small cells. And there's a bit more involved to that whole process, so we're going to walk through that process during our lab time together. I think you'll appreciate some of the clever tools that are involved in measuring the size of very tiny things.